Okay, so let's have a look at string bending. String bending is another form of articulation. It's quite similar to hammer-ons, pull-offs and slides in a way that you are sounding into a new note from a different note without re-picking it. And obviously there's a number of different ways in which you can perform bends, but let me just give you an example quickly of how I would sound a note using a string bend. It would sound like this. Okay, so as you can see there, I bend the 7th fret up 2 frets to the 9th fret. So this note here is going to sound like the 9th fret. Only I'm going to be playing from the 7th fret. Okay, so the 7th fret sounds like the 9th fret if I use a bend. Okay, so I get a various different kinds of bends, and let's look at a couple of bends right now. Let's start by looking at whole tone bends. They sound like this. Okay, so that's where the word whole tone comes from, also known as a whole step. I'm bending from the 10th fret into the very next note, with the 10th fret here is an A. The next note in the scale is a B, which is a whole step away. Or just in layman's terms, it's 2 frets. But I'm using a bend. Okay, so that's a whole tone bend, or a whole step bend. A half step bend would be 1 fret only. So instead of going from 12, instead of bending into 12 from 10, I'm going to bend into 12 from 11. Okay, so those are two of the most common bends you'll get, which is a whole step bend and a half step bend. Whole step bend is the distance of 2 frets. A half step bend is the difference of 1 fret. Now I also get what is known as a minor third bend, which is actually 3 frets, and that sounds like this. So I'm playing the note I'm going to bend into, which is on the 13th fret of the B string, and I'm going to bend into that note from the 10th fret. You can hear there, 13 is C, and I bend into it. Alright, so that is a minor third bend. So let me play those 3 bends for you. First of all, let's start with a half step bend. I'm only bending into the note the following fret. A whole step bend, I bend 2 frets higher. And a minor third bend, 3 frets higher. Okay, so I've got a half step, a full step, and a minor third. Okay, now obviously I get 2-tone bends and stuff like that as well. We're not going to go any bigger than a minor third bend, but I'd like to go smaller than a half step bend, which is known as a quarter tone bend. It's also known as a curl, whatever you want to call it, and specifically in blues and rock you use that a lot. All that means, instead of playing the note C, for instance, like that, I would go the following. So it's just a little tweak downwards, or you can also, of course, do it upward. So it's not a half step, it's less than a half step, and we call that a curl. Alright, so now we've looked at 4 kinds of bends, talking about the distance that you can be bending from.